Hi, Misha here, and kind of as promised and teased, we're going to talk about The Evil Dead, specifically Ashy Slashy Williams and a few of his good friends and pals. All of these will be 7-inch scale from NECA, and with no further ado, let's just dive in. Groovy. Beginning at the beginning, we have Ash from 1981, the original Evil Dead. This is really, I think, the most recent figure from NECA, even though it's not new now. And I believe this is the first one they did from the first film. Could be wrong on that. Of course, these are all 7-inch scale, and they have typical NECA articulation, which is good, but it tends to emphasize appearance over absolute articulation, which I'm fine with. And of course, this is an Ultimates, a deluxe, so it comes with a decent amount of accessories. I kind of prefer him here with the single-barreled 16-gauge single-shot breakover shotgun in that film. And I think the lantern is a neat prop, even if it's not iconic as such. I just think it's a neat thing that NECA constructed. Of course, the original film came out in 1981, and retroactively, the events of the film were placed in October of 1982, at which time Ashley Williams was 25 years old. He was born in 1957 in Michigan. And back then, he was relatively tall and quite slim. We'll get to that later, except for his chin. The big chin is something iconic of Bruce Campbell, and, well, it's certainly here. This is probably the neatest, the tidiest of the figures, where he's not too bloodied up or anything. Of course, in the first Evil Dead film, it's him and his friend Scotty, his sister Cheryl, girlfriend Linda, and Scotty's girlfriend Shelly. And Ash is just kind of one of the group. Hasn't really distinguished himself yet. So he's just, this is just a guy in clothing, for better or worse. But I think they did a good job with the figure, with what they had to work with. I always like it when they actually come with a decent amount of accessories, and this Ultimate did. Again, the lantern and the shotgun, but it doesn't end there. 2 other heads. I'm not really big on heads. Probably comes to do with the fact that I can't really see expressions, so you're right. But either way, get a couple of extra heads. And a couple of extra hands. Here's another grippy hand. And these are all nicely articulated. Of course, they open up. They're reasonably stiff, but still flexible enough. And then the other hand, I have stuck on the axe he comes with, which is, from what I've read, actually something that was seen more in the promo material than the film itself. But it's a neat accessory. It goes very much with the vibe. And it is still part of the film. So, a couple of hands, couple of heads. Then next we have the old reel-to-reel player, where the doctor's message is from. Still wonder how the doctor got the Kandarian demon under control. Oh well. Neat little player. Nothing moves on it, but it's a good size. Got the little handle there. Feet. Even stuff on the bottom, so cool accessory. And the other accessory he comes with is the chainsaw, but that's actually given to Doom Guy, and I wasn't going to drag it out. So you get 3 weapons, a lamp, a recorder, 3 heads, and total of 4 hands. Of course, articulation is pretty standard, but it's not really what I do here. I mean, yeah, like I said, he's probably the cleanest of all the Ash figures. Well, nearly so. There's a couple others that are not beat up yet. But, of course, he's the sole survivor of the film. Well, retroactively, really, when the first Evil Dead came out, even he at the end was presumably killed by what was just the entity. Later again, the Kandarian Demon was the name. Obviously, a lot of filling in the blank and retconning as the universe is expanded out. In fact, the whole Deadite name wasn't even used in the first film. As best I can remember anyway. I don't think it was. But that's okay. Again, it was a low-budget film based on a short film proof of concept that Sam Raimi did. And I did actually see the original Evil Dead before I saw Evil Dead 2, and was a little confused why the recap happened. Of course, you know, with hindsight and the internet to clue us in. Remember, these films came out pre-internet, so what we knew was pretty limited. But of course, we know it was a bigger budget version. And there's quite a few fun stories about the filming of Evil Dead on the internet, if you're so inclined. And we don't have any Deadites or any of the other characters from the first film, so we just got this Ash, like I said, and I don't know if they don't have the rights to the other characters or whatnot, but at least we have him. But we got quite a bit more for Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. The 1987 sequel / loose remake seems to have been NECA's main thrust. By the way, if I sniff and sniffle, it's not because my allergies are acting up or I'm sick. It's because I just got through eating some very spicy habanero lime chips that are now my new favorite chips. They are awesome, strongly flavored, good texture. They are a little warm, though. Apologies. Oh, well. Now, this is the ultimate Ash from that film. And in some ways, he's a bit of a disappointment, but in other ways, he's pretty cool and has some unique accessories. We'll explain. If this is the only Ash you have from Dead by Dawn, you may be disappointed. But if you want to buy this as a secondary, or buy a couple of these and display them in a few different ways, well, then they're pretty cool. And here I have him in essentially the beginning of the film. Now, at the end of Evil Dead original, he's presumed dead. Obviously, he's not, because he's Bruce Campbell. And in that film, aside from maybe a little bit towards the end, he's not the Ashley Joanne Williams that we know and love. But Evil Dead 2, Bruce Campbell's a more seasoned actor, and Sam Raimi has more money and is more confident. So we start to see the one-liners, the goofiness, and we start to see the Deadites flushed out. This is where really Evil Dead, as we know it, comes in. But I have to admit, in some ways, the first film's still my favorite. And of the 3 originals, it was Evil Dead 2 I saw last. Yes, like most, I saw Army of Darkness first. Sue me. Oh, well. I actually do like it. Anyway, so retroactively, it's said that the Kandarian demon, or the Deadite that infested him at the end of the first film, is defeated because it tries to take him over when the sun rises. Fine, whatever. So essentially, he passes out, wastes away a day, and wakes up towards night. He still can't get out. The bridge has collapsed. Of course, everyone he's with is dead, although in the second film, there's really no mention of Shelley or Scott. They're not really incidental. And let's be honest, after the whole tree thing, probably the less said about Cheryl, the better. For the poor girl's own sake. His little sister. That would be literally rough. Either way, he's stuck in the cabin. And as any crazy demon zombie creature would do, they torment him, which is just totally believable. And he completely loses his ever-loving mind. And that's where this figure kind of comes in and has some neat features and display options. Finally, with this figure, we actually give Ash some adversaries, including Linda's head. By the way, Ash only dated Linda's. At least like 3 of them. We don't get the full body. We never probably will from the actress. But we do get the head, which is kind of the important part because, well, she's beheaded at this point. And it would actually have been fun to have the dancing headless corpse, I'm not going to lie. But, she does give good head. And after, plopping in his lap and wanting to cuddle and him pushing her off, she gets mad, and like any lady, she bites him in the hand. So, this is the hand that is just been bitten, essentially. A normal right hand. Say goodbye to that because it's about to go. And then, just like it's gangrene, his hand gets infected by the Deadite. So we have this hand with the festering bite, the blackening veins, and the growing out nails. Pretty neat little display, I'm not going to lie. By this point, he's alone. I mean, again, he has Linda's head. And of course, we know what happens next. Ash, in a frankly baller move, cuts his own hand off with a chainsaw. And this is one area where this figure might disappoint you, because we don't get a chainsaw, we get an axe. Now, there is an axe in the film. It is a different mold from the one with the other Ash we looked at, so that's nice. But it just seems wrong to have Ash Williams without a chainsaw, especially in this kind of transformative scene of lobbing off his hand. So I've got to ding it there. I get why they did, because this does have a lot of accessories, and most of your other Ashes do have it. Ashley's, there we go. His name is just the plural. But we don't have one. But you can pop his pretty much whole forearm off and replace it with this. Essentially his bandaged off nubbin. Now, of course, because Bruce Campbell was not going to chop his hand off, I don't think, we do just kind of get what's in the film of essentially a big ball of material there to keep it. You think you'd want to cauterize it or something, but oh well. So yeah, you could just replace the whole forearm and you have that. So yeah, he's having fun with him. But it would be a pretty dull film without anyone else in it. So of course we get Annie Noby, the professor's daughter, and Professor Ed, I forget his last name, and a couple of locals that are really just there to be killed. And they pop in and find Ash this way, and he gets to have some fun in the cellar. It's good times for all. And that's kind of where this character ends. Except, at one point, he does briefly turn into a Deadite again, or for the first time, and we do get the Deadite Ash head. Evil Ash, if you prefer, the first. Pretty neat. So it definitely gives you some display options. Again, since I can't really see these, they feel pretty much the same, except his kind of cocked expression, and of course the big chin. And he does come with some other accessories. We do get the book here, the Necronomicon. Now, yes, he threw it in the fire at the end of the first film, and yes, it changes sizes because many props were used. Later on, it's just retcon that there were several books and addendums, whatever, and this one is a little small, but again, there were certain props that were small too, but it's well defined. It's got a lot of texture to it, so he does come with the Book of the Dead, as it were. And we get another recorder. This figure actually came out before the one we looked at earlier, so this is an earlier style. It's not a bad representation, but I'd say the one that comes with the first Ultimate Ash is better. But it's not bad. Not at all. And if that's not enough, we get another adversary for Ash, one that it would take him decades to overcome, his own right hand. So you actually get the hand in all stages, freshly bit, being infected on the body, and then not so much on the body anymore, running around like Thing's evil twin. And yeah, it's a little bit of a pest in this film and beyond. So that's what I mean. He goes through essentially the first look Ash has in the film. This figure is a little more roughed up than the first. He's got a ripped leg, some blood on him, much more must hair. And the final accessory, the one that's been in his hand the whole time. This is where the famous double barrel 12 gauge breakover, so the Biden special, comes into play. But what's unique, this is the pre-sawed off version, the long barrel version. And you don't see this accessory often with Ash figures. But it isn't his iconic shotgun, his iconic boomstick. However, for the early part of the film, it's nice. And he holds it well, which is good because he really doesn't have an alternative left hand. And if this were your only Ash William figure from the second film, yeah, it's missing some pretty key accessories. It's really neat that it does come with the head. It's neat that you can display him as Evil Ash. The whole removable hand in different stages is neat. So there's a lot to recommend it, but he's just missing so many of those iconic things. So I wouldn't recommend this being your only one, but there are other options if you go back further in NECA's catalog, such as the much more worse for wear, at least his clothing, so-called Hero Ash from later on in the film. And now we have pretty much everything we expect from our favorite Deadite killer, including a really neat accessory that's often overlooked, the Kandarian dagger. This is an older figure, so may not have quite the facial printing or paint of some of the but it's still very much a NECA. And came as part of a set. Here we, of course, have the iconic chainsaw hand that Annie helped him devise. And he is sporting the back scabbard for his now shorn shotgun. If I can, there we go, pull her out. Here it is. And this one's lobbed off right under the forearm. So, way to go, Ash. You just made an illegal, unregistered SBS. So don't worry about the Deadites. Worry about the Democrats. NFA 1934. Anyway, and obviously the pants are essentially the same mold as the previous, but the shirt's a little worse for wear, and he's got some blood going on. He's still quite slim and trim at this time, though. And again, he comes with the Kandarian dagger, which is a bone dagger, which, you know, everyone thinks of the Necronomicon is important to Evil Dead, and it certainly is, but the dagger was there too. So this is him essentially at the end of the film, and we'll carry over to the next. But as I said, it was part of a kind of neat set, or 2-pack. First, we get another Deadite adversary for Ash, the deer head, the deer mount. Yeah, what are Deadites? Whatever the plot needs them to be. It's not a comedy. It's Evil Dead. It's its own thing. Its tone is its own thing. You know, this actually does have some articulation in the head. Yeah, so you can do that. I'm surprised they didn't hinge the jaw. Maybe they just didn't figure they could. I'm also a little surprised they didn't give you something to stick it to the wall with. I guess, though, anyone who has a display could figure out some blue tack or Velcro or something. Anyway, it's a neat little accessory. And another accessory, we get the Book of the Dead again, but a much larger version. Where did I put the little one? So, there they are together. Yeah, not even close. And while this is just a fixed piece, this one hinges open. And it's actually, you'd expect it to be kind of gummy or whatever. No, it actually has a hinge, and it even has kind of detents to latch it open and closed. So that's a really neat accessory. But as I said, it was a 2-pack. We get our first true full Deadite. Deadite Ed. Evil Ed. Dead Ed. And I picked up the wrong character. I was reaching in the thing. I'm going to leave this in the film because I think having Paul Reiser in here is just funny. As you'll see, though, they kind of have the same thing going on. Be right back. All right, here we go. Actually, someone a little less creepy and scummy. Yeah, Dead-Eyed Ed here. You can see he has the split hands. It kind of threw me off. But, it's just dude in suit. But, I mean, what more would you want it to be? And again, these aren't zombies. These are possessed people. Even though later, kind of retcons, go into more detail. Even from this point, it's not like they're killing things. They're not eating them. They're not zombies, and they certainly have a lot more fun than a zombie would. Very shaggy hair on Ed here. That is an 80s mullet, if there ever was one. And yeah, pretty good articulation for what these are. It is nice to have someone full size for Ash to play with. For whatever reason, he keeps getting half people. Put it on this peg, it's a little tighter. That's the only problem with sometimes ultra articulation is getting everything straight. And just in case you do want to give Ash some fun, Ed comes with a second head, complete with chainsaw chopping action. And they even give the inside texture here and here, like it's a fruit. So if you want, you could put a chopped off head on your Ed, have him in the floor. I think it's a neat accessory. The head doesn't stay together all that well. I mean, on a shelf, it's not going to fall off, but it doesn't really have a peg. But then again, I think they were concerned more with making it look good than staying together. If you wanted a head that was always together, well, you got the Mr. Mullet Man head. Right? So that was a pretty neat set they gave. You get another Deadite head in the deer, and you get this, and then Ash himself has 3 weapons, plus you get the Book of the Dead. And that's pretty much where Evil Dead 2 ends. Annie opens a portal before she's killed, and then he goes nowhere. Definitely doesn't go back in time, and goes back to working at S-Mart, and nothing more will be said about it. At least for 30 years. Until we get Value Stop Ash from Ash versus the Evil Dead. And a lot of people made a big deal out about S-Mart becoming Value Stop. Honestly, it would have been more remarkable if a company didn't change names or get bought out over 30 years. Now, yes, I know in the real world there were reasons, but it's fine. It can either be a different store, but since they say he's been working there and has seniority, I just, yeah, S-Mart either changed its name to Value Stop or got bought out by Value Stop. It's fine. But this is him in his little stock boy uniform. And this is why I've been saying he was slim and trim in the other ones, because now we have the middle-aged verging on elderly Ash, complete with a giant ass. It's a little covered up here by the smock, but hey, it goes to show we all go there, don't we? So they didn't spare, and these are all nice overlays. Even the previous Ashes, the shirts or vests are flexible and whatnot. He has pointing hand. Oddly, he doesn't come with auditional hands, and he comes with the early in the series wood hand. Good elbows on this. And since this is kind of a rubber schmuck, it doesn't retard his leg movement too bad, especially forward. Otherwise, it's dude in stock boy outfit. What more do you want? Yeah. But it has a little name tag, though. That's kind of cool. And this was part of Series 1 in the Ash vs. Evil Dead from NECA. So these weren't Ultimates, but they were putting out several at a time. So the only accessories he came with were this alternative head with this small Deadite-possessed doll puppet they are two pieces. I actually stuck him together. It sort of kind of clips on his nose, but not really. So I used a little blue tack to stick it on there. But those are the only two accessories he comes with. But again, none of these in this line. What were there? 2 series or 3? Can't remember. Anyway, they didn't come with a whole lot. And so these date back to 2018. And I don't have them all. I wasn't going to buy half a dozen different ashes. I didn't even mean to buy this many. And there's still one to go. What can you do? Ashes, I multiply. Deadite Ed might be scary, and Burke is downright terrifying. Not because of what he did to people, but because he was a corporate man. But then, in Series 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, we got this beautiful specimen. Practically a Playboy model. Or Playgirl. Or both. Who knows which way he swings. Eligos, the demon of the mind. Yeah. This is a thing. Those of you know the series. Neat figure. Limited articulation. When this came out, I think I said earlier, the Series 1 came out in 2018. I think it was actually 2016, maybe 2017. NECA was still working on things, so yeah. He does have moving jaw, so that's neat. Blab, 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 blab. His head moves. Legs have some rotation. And I love the feet, or rather, second set of hands. Yeah, and they do pivot. Of course, we only see him briefly before he inhabits Kelly. By the way Ash vs. Evil Dead integrated new, younger characters is really, in my opinion, the way to do it. And absolutely no way taking away from Ash. Then again, Ash was always a lovable, sometimes hateable buffoon, so, man, eat a pizza. Anyway, but no, the way, I think a lot of people like Pedro and Kelly, don't they? Even things like Ash's dad, who came in. Yeah, he is not wearing hardly anything, is he? Or is he wearing, is that just a demon butt crack? I think that might just be a demon butt crack. Okay. But yeah, he does not come with any accessories, but then again, he was not an ultimate. Again, like I said, this series at this point didn't really come with a whole bunch, but what would you have him come with? Maybe some ayahuasca? If you know, you know. They should have made the Bruja El Jefe. But yeah, nice to have another adversary for Ash here. An Ashersary from Season 1. And then we come to my final figure. Ash from the end of Season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Kind of another hero Ash, in the sense that he's back in his, well, it was blue. Now it's more red. And he has his boomstick. Interestingly, this is not the same mold as the one with the previous hero Ash. The barrels are slightly longer. Then again, well, this is 30 years. Why not? And even though the scabbard's meant for the shotgun, I actually discovered his chainsaw hand will fit it, because I wanted to give him his robot hand, the one he loses the wood hand for and gets that Pedro makes him. I just thought it was neat. I wanted to give him that. Pretty iconic from the end of the season. And it's in classic Ash. Guys, I'm late. It's tired. You know how it goes. No alternative face on this. But again, we get an alternative swappable hand. And the shotgun. The chainsaw is actually articulable. Is that a word? It is now. And much like our first hero, Ash, he came, well, not in a 2-pack, but actually a 3-pack. We get 2 of Xena Warrior Princess's children. She had a one-night stand with Pedro and made lots of babies. But these are also known as demon spawn children. They're actually different molds, different face. This one's screaming with joy. And they're actually very articulated for what they are. Especially the hands, which I think is neat. They're wearing more clothing than other ghosts. So thank God for that, since they are children. Literally like 10 minutes old, if that. So, yeah. Even their little feet are articulated. But they don't have peg holes. So they're a little difficult to stand, if I'm being honest. And now they're going to prove me wrong by standing. Ah, see, there. See? Thank you for doing what I needed. This one's got a different face. Again, actually quite good articulation. Because, well, they're not wearing anything, and they're very skinny. But yeah, you get 2 of them. That rotates too. And they are slightly different in the heads, and I think the hands might be a little different too. So that's neat for a display. You can show him cutting these up. And you know how I said that was my last figure, and then I kind of lied showing these 2? Well, I kind of lied again. I do have one more. So those were Cylon number 3's children. Well, here's her, at least adolescent, offspring, also just known as the demon spawn. So this was part of series 2. I think there just were 2 series. And same good articulation. He actually does come with like 2 alternative heads. I couldn't put hands on the 3rd. But the idea is he can be a troop builder, or you can change his expression if you wish. I did find a couple of other heads, which I presume are for Ash. This is why heads don't do a lot for me. Usually they feel exactly the same. Oh well. They are what they are. But yeah, another adversary. Not a deluxe, so this was kind of pre the big price jump. Now, I think Series 2 did come out in 2018 and was pretty well the end. So I don't think if there was a 3rd member to it. I feel like there was one I'm forgetting. We did, of course, get a Ultimate or Deluxe Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead, but I really didn't feel like I needed it. Trying to stand him up straight. Get in there. That's the problem with her high articulation. Oh well, these are the figures. What do you think? Not normally the series I go for. The style, the type. But Evil Dead has kind of a place for me in young adult and childhood memories, so why not? That was my thought at any rate. And I just felt like sharing. And obviously we skipped over Army of Darkness. I'm not sure why they haven't done it. If it's a licensing thing, probably. I do think it's a shame that Super 7 did the reaction series, which I don't like. And they never did Super 7 Ultimate of Army of Darkness. I feel like a long time ago NECA did some Army of Darkness, but maybe I'm misremembering. Oh well. Cool film. Certainly the most zany and comedic. I tend to like the tone of Evil Dead 2 or Ash vs. the Evil Dead the most. It's played for laughs, but it has some stakes. I don't know. What do you like? Have you seen the series? They did 3 seasons, which, felt about right. Seemed like it was fun while it lasted. More or less went out on a high note. And this wasn't really meant to be a synopsis, just, me musing, giving you some content over here. But I am getting tired, so I'm going to call it a night, folks. This is Misha. Catch you very soon. Next time.